All right. So thanks to DraftKings and their idiotic website, we are 10 minutes late on our NASCAR coverage for the week on another Tuesday as we preview race number 3 for the 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. CJ Radune from RotoWire.com joining me once again. CJ, it's off to the road course.
The road course. And hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties there like we had to get the show started today.
Yeah. Great job. Very, very bad for their marketing department. That's for sure.
Yeah, it happened.
Yeah, let's because they were such a pain in the ass. They don't deserve to get away with it. I'm going to show them how stupid they are to everybody. So check this out. They're asking me. First of all, I never bet this. I never asked for that. And then they're asking me, look at this. This doesn't matter. They're asking me to complete my sportsbook account to start betting with DraftKings. Well, I've already done that, and I just did it again. I just logged on again on the app. And when I verify the account, what does it do? It checks my location. Then it asks me, what is this? Responsible Gaming Center. It's more fun. What does this say? Let's see. Our Responsible Gaming Center has all the tips and tools. Set these up now and update at any time. Yeah, I don't think so. Continue without the tools.
There it is again.
There's the bet slip again. And where is the NASCAR races? Let's see if we can get the odds up. At least that other thing's out of the way. All right. So let's see if we can. Let me shrink this, right? Oh, wow.
Look at one person at a time.
Can you see this?
Yeah, now I can see it.
Fine. Let's get this out of the way. All right, so let's try that. At least the other thing got knocked out of the way, which was a big pain in the ass. I was having to go to here. This is my sports book, and you can see the odds. Still have SVG even, which is, hey, maybe a bargain. As we get into the first road course race of 2026, we're going to wrap up what happened, first of all, in Atlanta. And it's now official. I know it's only been 2 races, but Toyota has found a way to compete in the draft on the super speedways. And it shows you that actually when there's a few months off during the off season, that they actually are working. They actually are trying to improve their cars in certain situations. And this is one of them. And it really is pretty funny. Ironic, cool, whatever you want to say, that for all the teams to come out with back-to-back wins to start the season, it's 23XI against NASCAR. How about that? You can't write this stuff up.
It was definitely poetic justice that they came out and won the Daytona 500, and it's just icing on the cake now that it's 2 in a row. Next, this week, maybe we get Bubba Wallace or maybe Front Row Motorsports makes it into victory lane, make it 3 for 3. We'll have to see. They're going to have a tall order to beat SVG and maybe even Connor Zilich, but anything's possible.
That would be something. And that's what you're going to have to deal with. As we said last year when the season ended and when SVG won again, that you just keep taking him until he loses at this point. And that's the deal. Yes, I am a little bit more nervous. I must admit it. After seeing what took place the first 2 weeks of the season and the fact that SVG's never won this race before. So if there was a race that I would be concerned with and putting big money down on an even driver in NASCAR, I guess this is going to be it. But we'll get into that in just a little bit. But again, I guess just to wrap up, well, keep in mind, these are super speedways. Matter of fact, we do have to also remember that the last driver to win the first 2 races of the season was Matt Kenseth. And Matt Kenseth did not go on to have a championship season or anything even close to it. So it's just a complete. Now, I didn't know what the second race was that year because it wasn't Atlanta draft. So I don't know what it was, but it still was 2 wins to start the season. And now you got 2 wins to start the season with a super speedway. So that makes it even more like it's sort of like a road race. It's like winning. It's like SVG winning the first 2 road races of the season to start the whole NASCAR. What does it mean? Well, it means that SVG's got a couple of wins, and that'll be nice. but does it mean that he's going to be capable of winning and competing at some of these other big tracks? Well, we'll find out as CJ knocks off the screen. I wonder if one of the things that I did here at DraftKings to get everything set up knocked CJ off the screen. I don't think that's the case, but hopefully we'll be back with CJ as we're going to break down the interesting stats you want to keep an eye on for this week's race at the Circuit of Americas. There have only been 5 races all time at this racetrack. So it started the year before they went to next gen. So it was the 2021 season. And then we've had the last 4 races at this racetrack from the next gen. And they have been 4 different drivers. Matter of fact, we've had 5 different drivers in all 5 races so far at this track. We've had 3 Chevys and 2 Toyotas. We've had a pole winner, 2 front row winners. We've had a 16th position, a 19th position, and that is the farthest back anybody has won so far, which happened last year when Christopher Bell won from the 19th position. One of the things that I did notice going through the research is that even though I hope I wasn't the reason that you got knocked down.
No idea what happened there.
I think it was DraftKings.
No idea what happened. My screen just went blank. And
one of the things I was forced to attempt to download is probably now screwing around with my computer as we speak. I'm going to have to eliminate that as soon as the show's over.
Yes.
So, all right. Anyway, as much as this particular race is all about SVG and he might win it and he might dominate it and you get an even money driver and it is what it is, there are a lot of options here when it comes to playing fantasy. And so I think that's the real thing you might want to take out of this. This could be a way to win money fantasy wise, even if SVG, look, he could start at the pole and win. I mean, you're playing fantasy, and he got 6 drivers. He's in your 6. It's just, it is what it is. So let's just see about the other 5 drivers as we go through this. But as I was saying, when you were off the air, CJ, we've had 5 races, 5 different drivers winning it. What do you think about when you're breaking this particular road race down and you're comparing it to the other road races on the schedule? What are the differences and what are you looking for in a driver?
So this is a natural terrain road course. So it's a lot about being able to have the right balance in the car, as well as not burn the tires off. And I think what's been interesting about SVG's rise and his ability to perform well on these types of tracks is that a couple of things have been happening with the rules as he's come into the series, where Goodyear is making the tires softer and softer. The downforce is coming off of the cars more and more, which puts it very much in the driver's hand. And it's on these courses with the off-camber turns, the elevation changes, the different radius turns. It's all about balancing the car and keeping it always on 2 wheels, whether that's left, front, right, or rear. And he's just got a lot of experience with that. And with the extra horsepower in the cars this year, it's going to be really important. I think tires are going to be a focus, and he's somebody that can do a great job managing tires and making sure that he has enough tire at the end of a pit run or a fuel run to be able to track down those ahead of him and make passes. And I think any drivers that can do that, Tyler Reddick is certainly up there. Christopher Bell is up there. I think those are the guys that you're going to want to be looking at as we come to a track like Circuit of the Americas.
All right. So what's the deal? There are like 4 different names for this track. You've got, what's the difference between COA and COTA?
Whether you want to give a letter in the acronym for the.
Okay. and who came up with this?
No idea. I've never heard COA, to be honest with you. I've heard Circuit of the Americas or COTA, one or the other.
Okay. All right. Or Austin. Austin. There you go. All right. So let's dive into this. You can see again there, we have Shane Van Gisbergen is the even money driver who has never won here in 2 races. He was 6th last year, led 23 laps. So really, there's nothing else for us to say. We know he's the best, and you just have to decide whether or not you want to do what we advised you to do last year. I think it was the last 3 races. which were just go with it as long as you're getting even money. And we pretty much, every time we did a show, I'm pretty sure we had even money. I don't know if we had a minus. I think eventually you got to that by race time, but I don't know on a Tuesday if we ever had a minus with Shane.
I don't recall.
Yeah. So again, if you followed that with us last year, just keep doing it until you lose. That's what I would do. You could also parlay it. In other words, if you would like to take a look at another sport, if you handicap college basketball, golf, you can do futures. If you want to look into the future with something in those same sports, maybe you parlay it with a national championship basketball team or somebody to win the Masters in golf. There's other ways that you can take advantage and not put a lot of money into an even driver. All right. Also, Connor Zilic. We knew this was going to happen, and I look at this as a good thing because it's unlikely he's going to win, and he's taking up and making the numbers for some of the other drivers that should be better averaged out now getting better value. The Bells, the Byrons, the Reddicks, and so forth, because Connor Zilic is in here. Connor Zilic is not in here. One example would be Christopher Bell could be 6-1, something like that. So now we're getting, I'd much rather have Connor Zilic in this race and get the extra couple of points, because as good as and talented as Connor Zilic is, and it happened last year, he was the second choice last year, which was an absolute joke. And where did he finish, CJ? Last. So what do you say to anybody out there that was thinking of taking him either to wager to win or to put him on their fantasy team?
I say you wait until the road courses later on this year. We've got 5 on the schedule this year. He's going to improve with time. It's going to get better. Give him another race to breathe. Definitely don't want to take him at these low odds, especially when you got some drivers that have some really good historical averages through the 5 races that they've had at this track. Just needs more experience, more track time, and you don't want to be taking that low of odds for somebody that's still climbing up the learning curve.
Now, I'm looking at the odds from last year's show, and you're never going to believe this. Now, again, this was the first race of the year, so this was still at the time where Shane Van Gisbergen had not won a road course before, and we were still talking about, because at that point, that was maybe his 5th or 6th street course / road course race as a Cup driver, and he was the heavy favorite, and we were betting against him and saying we're not going to take him until he wins. And this was still in that range. Well, on this show last year, there were co-favorites.
I seem to remember that, yeah.
At 5-1, it was SVG and Connor Zilic as co-favorites of the race. So it was even crazier than we could imagined. So that's what it was. And we know how it all turned out. I don't remember what SVG went off at, but I do remember he did go off as the favorite. I just don't know by how much. So now let's go and talk about some of the really good contenders here. And these 3 guys are definitely at the top of the list. Bell, Byron, right around 9-10-1, and Reddick getting 16. Now, the thing with Reddick, of course, is that you're betting on someone winning a 3rd straight race. And that is really, really hard to do. But I'm willing to look at this and say, I know they didn't do it this way, but I'm willing to look at it this way and say, well, I think Reddick should be 10-1 with Bell and Byron, but I'm getting the extra 6 points because it's going to be really hard for him to win 3 races in a row. That's how I'm looking at it. So I'm going to try to convince myself, this is if I take him, I'm going to willing to convince myself that I'm getting the extra 6 points because it is hard to win 3 straight Cup races in a row, but he deserves it every much as Bell and Byron. And you know what? You could even have an argument that he should be ahead of these guys. That's my take. But what do you think about the difference between the 3 of these drivers this week?
all three are the top contenders. So if anything happens with SVG and Zilich isn't there to pick up the pieces, then one of these guys is going to be up there. The question is whether or not they can actually go toe to toe. The only driver that's ever been able to go toe to toe with SVG in NASCAR, so, at least so far in the Cup level, has been Buescher, and that was at Watkins Glen where he beat him head to head. Zilich has taken him in the Xfinity Series or O'Reilly Series now. But these guys all have experience on the road courses. They were all great road course racers. They're all NASCAR born and bred, so they've got more seat time within these cars. So I like Reddick's odds from a, just a value perspective compared to Byron and Bell. I think you need that extra little boost there to go with him, because I don't think he's won a road course race since he won at Circuit of the Americas. However, his average start at this track is 2.2, which is just incredible. Out of the three, I do like Byron. I think he's been racing well these first two races. Super speedways are a different breed. He's very good on road courses. He's very good on this road course, finished first, fifth, and second in his last three, not in that order. So I think my top choice would be Byron. However, Reddick's odds being an extra 6 points there make it really tough to choose between the two of them.
Yeah, Reddick's other road course win was at Indianapolis. I don't know what year it was, but he's got two. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, because you said what the deal is with Reddick. I mean, an unbelievable average starting position and an unbelievable average finish position of 4.6. And then Byron's got a 6.2 average, and including in his last 3 years, he's finished second, first, and fifth while leading. Let's see, he did not lead laps last year, finishing second, but he was from the 15th position. And then the other two, he led a combined 70 laps, both from the pole in those two races prior. Bell, meanwhile, in his last two races, has finished first and second. And the only reason why his average starting position and his average finish is not where you'd want to see it, it's about minus 4.2. That's because he's wrecked twice. If you take the wrecks out, he's got one of the best averages, just like Reddick, because I think Reddick's at the top, right? He's got to be.
Yeah, Reddick is
average finish.
From an average finish at Circuit of the Americas, Reddick is the best. But if, like you said, if you take away those two crashes from Christopher Bell, his other start, not the first and second, he finished third. So that's a absolutely fantastic average. And look, your blue bar is back up again with DraftKings. Don't kick me off the stream.
Unbelievable. What clowns. What are they doing over there? All right, let me go back to my site. I have it still here. Okay. So let's move on. And now we have, let's see, Reddick is still 16-1 here. You're getting Bell and Byron. You're getting, again, this is why if you're DraftKings, it's about fantasy games and that's it. You don't go to their sports book. This is where you get more normalized wagering opportunities, even though what I would always advise is to always have at least a second sportsbook. So I have two, but I don't use DraftKings as a sportsbook. But you could always get a value at one of them. There's always going to, just like here, DraftKings were 9-1 with Byron and Bell. Here it's 12-1. So let's go to the next group and let's see. Here you're getting, I think, better odds the way it should be, because DraftKings has Kyle Larson at the same odds as Tyler Reddick. Which is, we know Kyle Larson to be a real good road course driver, but the problem has been lately he has not. I don't know what's gone on with the car. Maybe they've been tinkering with it the last few years, because he hasn't been the same driver. Last year he had a miserable year in the road course racing, and he's only had one good result here, and that was pre-next gen. In his 4 next gens, he's never had a top 10 and never led a lap. Matter of fact, he has an average finish of 18.8 over the 5 races total, with an average start of 10.0. And then Chase Elliott's also 20-1 here on the books. And I'd much rather go with Chase Elliott at the same odds, because Elliott has the win in 2021. He's got 3 top 5s in total. And And we all know Chase Elliott is equally, if not a better road course driver than Kyle Larson, but at least Chase looked a lot better than Kyle last year.
Yeah, definitely not going with Kyle Larson this weekend. Again, I talked about it with SVG, how the tires are continuing to get softer and they're adding horsepower, which coming out of the turns on a place like Circuit of the Americas, with that extra horsepower, you're just more likely to wear out the tires. So by the time you get to the end of a run, you're not going to be able to make passes because you're just not going to have the grip. So I think that's kind of what Kyle Larson's problem has been here, because he's been down in the doldrums from road course perspective, specifically at Circuit of the Americas, for quite a while. I do think Elliott looks really good, very consistent at this track. His worst finish was a 16th place finish, but even with that, his average finish is 6.3. He's got the win back in 2021, finished 4th last year. Only difference, I think, with him versus the guys that we talked about before, just the amount of laps led.
Okay, next up, let's go with, let's see the differences here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Let's see. It's the same amount. Chris Buescher, he's sitting there at 25-1, as is, let's see. Well, Briscoe's actually at 20, kind of skipped over him. And then AJ there at 25, Buescher, McDowell, Gibbs. You see, you're getting 35-1 Gibbs over at DraftKings, 25-1 here. So yeah, talking about these drivers, I think Briscoe is a hard pass. He's not done anything here, especially with other drivers within these odds. I mean, there's no reason in the world to take Chase Briscoe over, say, Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher. I'd even throw in Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman. But talking about Buescher, okay, like you said, 25-1. He does have 3 top 10s here. What's really good about Buescher, Buescher may be one of the better fantasy drivers here the last few years. Now, will it continue? You got to wait for qualifying, but you're talking about a major difference from his average starting position to his average finish.
25.2 is his average start, and his average finish is still 11.4, and he finished inside the top 8 the last 3 seasons here at Circuit of the Americas. I think Buescher is a must take from a fantasy perspective. He's getting really good odds here as well. Obviously, you want to wait to see what qualifying does, but with that, he's never started better than 20th at Circuit of the Americas, but yet he's been able to race his way inside the top 10 the majority of the time. So Buescher, definitely the best of the bunch. Briscoe, hard pass, exactly as you said. His best finish here was 6th, and that was pre-next gen. Hasn't done anything since, only kind of top 15s. Ty Gibbs might be interesting because he's been good on road courses in the past. Haven't seen anything really from him yet this season, but we're on super speedways, so we'll see if that changes this week. He's got finishes of 9th and 3rd. Those are his best finishes, and I think he ended up having some problems last year, ended up finishing 34th.
Yeah, I think Gibbs would only be a good choice if he actually does not qualify inside like the top 15, say, because his average finish is 15th, but his average start is around 10th. So the average starting position has not helped him necessarily, even though he does have, a couple of decent finishes here. He really hasn't led any laps and had a really bad situation last year when he finished 34th. So I would look at Gibbs. I would definitely wait on Gibbs, as would I wait on really probably the entire field until after qualifying. The only driver I wouldn't wait on would be SVG. You're not going to get better odds with him. So don't even wait. If you're going to take SVG, you take him now. Those odds will only get worse. And it will not matter if he starts 10th. It won't. Trust me. You'll be very fortunate, because I don't even think he's going to start 10th. But even if he did, I think Sunday he might go off at minus 120 or something like that. I just can't see he's still going to be a plus driver unless he starts 25th or something and slips in qualifying or practice or whatever the hell. But other drivers to keep an eye on as we start going down the road here. I mentioned Chastain and Kyle, and Chastain is 30-1. Kyle is 33-1. And I think Chastain's another good fantasy driver. Also, once you're getting down to this level, I'd throw some money on him as well, because Chastain's got 3 top 5s and a win. He's led laps, including 31 from the 16th position in 2022, and his average starting position to his average finish is 7 points higher. And in Kyle Busch, we don't worry about what he did the first 2 years with Toyota. What we're really looking at is his last 3 years with Chevy, when he's finished 5th, 9th, and 2nd, leading 42 combined laps. And matter of fact, the 42 laps he led were all last year when he finished 5th from the 8th position. Matter of fact, his average starting position with the Chevy the last 3 years is 11th, and his average finish is a little bit over 5, right around 5.3. So I think Chastain and Kyle Busch are two really good long shot drivers, both if you want to make some money and if you want to enter them in your contest.
Yeah, and I would even give Ross Chastain the edge just because of how strongly he came on last week. This sport's all about momentum. This is a track where he's been consistently good at, and he got some extra momentum from coming pretty close to the win last week. So he's a former winner back in 2022 at this track. His worst finish came last year, was only 12th, and he's led 45 laps across his 5 starts at the track.
And let's see, AJ Allmendinger is also in this at 25-1. So his odds are a little bit smaller here than at DraftKings. What I don't like to see, though, is his average start is 12th. His average result is 21st. So that's with other options to go with. That's a no-no for me. I think we have better options, even though we know how good AJ can be in this type of road course setup. And then right in the same vicinity as Chastain and Kyle Busch is one of the last really good value long shots, and that's Alex Bowman. Because Alex Bowman has been pretty much perfect here. In 5 appearances, he's been in the top 10 all 5 times with 3 top 5s and a runner-up. The only problem is he's just led 3 laps, so that's not going to help you much in fantasy. But what will help you is the fact that he is, I believe, exactly 7 points to the favor as far as starting position and average result. 12.2 start, 5.2 finish.
Yeah, Bowman is clearly getting overlooked here. It doesn't matter where he starts, kind of like Buescher. Wherever you put him in the field at this track, somehow he figures out a way to get inside the top 10, very consistent. So Alex Bowman is definitely one that should be on the list. I would put him on the list for fantasy as well as betting. I think the odds there are pretty good for him as well. Obviously, on a road course, we're getting into the long shots here at this point. There's probably not going to be very many that we talk about after this, but going back to AJ Allmendinger for just a minute, I would say that, again, like the softer tire, lower downforce rules that NASCAR has been introducing over the past couple of seasons, I think that's helped SVG. I feel it's also hurt AJ Allmendinger. Allmendinger was better several years ago before these rules started to change. So I think from an adaptation standpoint, he's a team and a driver that hopefully was doing some work over the offseason to be able to figure out whatever ails them given these circumstances. So I would actually stay away from Allmendinger this week. I'd give him another week, just to see if those problems have been worked out and see if he's able to move forward, because I think it's been a little while for him since he's been up at the front at one of these races.
Speaking of rule changes, we have to pretty much wait until Phoenix till we can really find out whether or not, added horsepower, that sort of thing, those changes to the car take effect. Is that really when we're going to know whether or not we've seen a difference?
For standard tracks, yeah. I mean, there's not much. Your ability as a road course driver is going to outshine the rule changes, I think, here at Circuit of the Americas. But when we get to next week for the majority of the calendar, when we get on a more traditional type of oval, I do think that's where we'll start seeing really the differentiation, how different teams and drivers approach that. It definitely makes an impact here, don't get me wrong. Higher horsepower at a road course coming off of as many turns as you do, trying to get the power down every single lap is going to burn off your tires much more quickly. So there's a lot of management that these drivers have to do. And it's more now this year with that increased horsepower than it ever has been before. So it is an impact here. Don't get me wrong. But I think for the rest of the season where we're truly going to see it again, where the racing really starts from a NASCAR perspective is when we get to Phoenix and maybe even Las Vegas and beyond.
McDowell is kind of skipped over him at 25-1. I'm not sure. Look, I'm more in line with DraftKings at 35-1 because McDowell really hasn't done much here. We all know he can drive this setup, but it's sort of like Larson. Is I think they're giving a little bit more credit to drivers that can race well on road courses, but they necessarily haven't done anything here. And that's kind of McDowell. I mean, he's not bad. He may not be bad in fantasy, especially if he starts a little bit further back in the field. Might be somebody that you can say, oh, if he starts like 28th, I could see McDowell maybe getting like a 12th, that sort of thing. And maybe that can help me a little bit. But yeah, I don't. There's too many other options here in the same area code with McDowell. Then I just don't think this is a good week for him.
Agreed. I would consider him from a fantasy perspective only because the only time he didn't finish better than where he started at this track was when he dropped out 2 years ago with steering issues. So again, like you said, at this track, pretty average, kind of a top 15 kind of guys. So that's more for your down the roster fantasy selections.
And really, out of all the remaining long shots here, there would be only, let's see, I'll tell you right now, the only drivers that I would consider would be, and this would be for, well, really, at this point, I think we're only talking about one driver I'd consider for fantasy. I'm not sure about the other, to tell you the truth. But those two drivers would be Carson Hocevar, because he is at 80-1, 100-1 at DraftKings. Keeping in mind that he, if you look at it, it's not good that his average result in 2 races is 17.5. His average start is 11th, but he was 13th last year after finishing 22nd his first year. So he did a much better job, both qualifying, went from 18th to 4th, and his result from 22 to 13. I care more about that in 2 races than I do in what was his average starting position versus his average result. Don't worry about that. And you're getting a big number too at 80-1. Whereas the other long shot that I would consider fantasy wise would be Gilliland. Gilliland has raced 4 times. He has 2 10th place finishes. His average starting position is 25.3 and his average finish is 15.5. So I think he's the only other one that just kind of sticks out. I'm not saying that I'm probably going to pick him in a 6-driver contest, but if something happens where a few of my other options just don't look good, or I need a really cheap option, I think he'd be one to look for.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. He's one that's consistently at least finished where he started. So even when he's finished or started inside the top 10, he's finished inside the top 10 as well. But usually, like you said, he's starting outside the top 25. So he'll definitely get you some points because he's a pretty good road racer and is able to find his way forward. Again, I think there are more attractive options further up that we've already talked about. But like you said, if for whatever reason, somebody that you had in your back pocket from an average finish differential perspective ends up qualifying inside the top 10, and then you don't feel as confident going with them, I do think Gilliland's a good substitute to put in.
Do you have any of these long shot drivers here at all that would interest you in either winning, finishing in the top 5 or 10, or in fantasy?
None that we've not talked about already. So Hocevar would be on my list. I keep an eye on Daniel Suarez. I think he's another one with a little bit of momentum after last week. He's been pretty good on the road courses as well. Got a road course victory under his belt too. Just with the new team, it's going to be harder for him to perform at that same level at a place like Circuit of the Americas versus a place like Atlanta or Daytona, where the competition and the machinery is much closer. So I think his chances might be passed versus this week, but he's somebody I would keep an eye on. The other one that I would like to think that I would consider, but I wouldn't, just because his history at Circuit of the Americas hasn't been all that great, would be Austin Cindric. He's another one, a very good road course driver. He does have 2 top 10s, but overall his average finish at the track is 16.4, 3 finishes outside of the top 15, 2 of those being 25th place. So this isn't a place that really suits his style. He was better earlier in his career. Now at this point, I'd probably give him some time to figure out and move his way forward, or choose him at one of the other road courses instead.
Yeah, Suarez definitely needs the new team, because if you look at his stats from his previous, I think he had 5 appearances. He's got like the worst average differential from starting to finishing.
Fast.
It's like, what is it, minus 21?
His average start is 9.2. His average finish is 30.2. So
21. So I guess the good thing is the average start. And he does have, like you said, he has the experience of knowing how to drive road courses, and now he's with a different team. So yeah, maybe not the worst idea in the world. Unfortunately, if he has a good starting end, he might just be a driver you're just better off, if you like him, just take him a couple bucks on him, see if he'll win the race. That's about it. I don't know if he'd work out fantasy wise for you.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't really consider him from a fantasy perspective. I would, if he qualifies well and you think that he can get it done in the race and still got odds worth a couple dollars.
Okay, let's go to our picks. You go first.
SVG.
Okay. Let's see. Who will I go with? Will I go with 3 straight from Reddick? Boy, that would be absolutely insane, wouldn't it?
It's happened before. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, they have. You know what? I'm going to do it just because it's, Michael Jordan and that team sticking it to NASCAR. Just the more they stick to it, the better the story becomes. So I'll go with Reddick again. And look, you're getting 16-1. So I got a feeling those odds are going to drop. I think there are going to be some people out there at some point this week that are going to go, what is he doing at 16-1?
Totally agree. My next choice is between a couple of drivers, and the fact that we've had 5 different winners from 5 different races makes me think we're probably going to get a 6th. So I'm going to go with Chris Buescher as my second choice.
Yes, indeedy. All right. One of the better fantasy options out there. I will go with another good fantasy option and a good value pick as well, and that's Ross Chastain.
He was the one that was going to be my choice, but he's already won here. So that's why I went with Buescher.
Yeah, I've gone with 2 drivers that have won here before. So that's one trend that I'm not looking forward to maintaining. So who's your long shot play?
You'll have to make up for that with your last pick then. Long shot's a little bit harder here.
Yeah. Even though, again, even Bowman and Kyle Busch and those guys are considered long shots.
Yeah,
Ty Gibbs is 25-1.
Yeah.
You got Suarez.
What were Bowman's odds again?
33. Yeah, 33 and 35. So basically, yeah, we'll say 35.
I'll go with Bowman then.
Yep. I think that makes a ton of sense. Chevy's won 3 out of 5. And I will go with, I guess I'll go ahead and take Kyle Busch. Okay, so there you go. That leaves Bell and Byron as top contenders. That also leaves Chase Elliott. And then big long shots like Carson Hocevar, Gilliland, maybe Suarez, Cindric, some of those guys. All right, so that will wrap it up. We have Phoenix and Vegas coming up, correct?
That is correct. Some normal tracks where we might be able to get a better idea for what the season to come is going to be like.
Yeah, I can't believe. Well, at the very least, as much as we are not looking forward to seeing Phoenix again, at least there will be something that's different because of the changes, and maybe it'll help make the race a little bit better. We can only hope.
I'm looking forward to the ones after that, though. We all
are. Yes, especially Vegas.
The races after that. This week should be good. Excited for it. Not so much looking forward to Phoenix, but like you said, there are some differences. But after we get through Phoenix, we got a really good run of races.
And of course, I will definitely be back on Saturday. Should be back for the most part. The only time I'm not planning on doing Saturday qualifying reports are on the super speedways. But even the road courses, of course, a lot to talk about with qualifying position and fantasy value and all that. So that'll be on Saturday here at Proline TV. I will also post CJ's link to his RotoWire report, which if you don't want to wait until Saturday's video, you can go directly to RotoWire. Matter of fact, there's a link in the description of this video already that goes to CJ's page, but you'll have a specific link that'll go to your report on this race on Friday, correct?
Yep, we'll have that up on rotowire.com on Friday. And exactly as you said, if you want to get there earlier, go ahead and go to my page. But otherwise, we'll have the link on the description to the video.
CJ, appreciate it. We'll talk about Phoenix next Tuesday.
Can't wait. Thanks for
looking forward to it.